and welcome to Mimi's Sketchbook. Today my illustration is inspired by David Tripp's devotional book, Morning Mercies. And I am reading the devotion for October 12th. And I mention the date in case you would like to read along with me as I read through this wonderful devotional book, Morning Mercies. You might be wondering why, out of all the beautiful things I could choose to paint, that today I'm painting a hand pruner and a serrated knife. And there are a couple reasons why. First of all, these tools help to tell the story today, help explain this Bible verse and how it became more understandable to me. But also, I love the challenge of figuring out how to draw something new and different. Every time you draw something, it's a brand new challenge. And with these two objects, they're functional. And so in drawing them, I have to be especially careful to make sure that all of the proportions are correct, the length of the blade compared to the handle, that the shape of the handle is correct, because it is something that you have to hold in your hand, so the grip has to be shaped just right. And also the blade, there's different kinds of edge to the blade, and so each of those are different. I had to figure out how to draw those. So every time I draw something different, it's challenging, and it's my way of, say, doing a crossword puzzle or a Sudoku, I think that's how you say it, Sudoku, puzzle. And people do puzzles to keep their mind sharp, and I do it, paint, because I enjoy it, first of all. But secondly, I think it helps to keep my mind sharp. Plus, it gives me a nice feeling of accomplishment that I have been able to recreate something and actually identify it when I'm done. So that's a nice feeling of satisfaction. So in telling you this, I want to encourage you to try and draw. Just something real simple sitting in front of you, a cup of coffee, maybe your phone, a spoon, anything. Pick up a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and try to figure it out. It might be frustrating at first because this may be a new way of thinking for you, but stick with it. You can do it, and you will feel such a sense of accomplishment when you're done. And I would love to hear from you if you do try drawing. This is a whole truckload of wood chips that I had delivered to my home, and I'm so excited about them because it is a great source of green and brown organic material, which is carbon and nitrogen that will decompose and eventually become compost and amend my soil. So I've been looking forward to getting these wood chips so I can spread them all around my garden under the trees and bushes and perennials. And in this picture, you can actually see the heat coming off the wood chips as they're decomposing. If I put my hand down inside that wood chip pile, it would be hot. And the whole subject of mulching and using wood chips and creating compost is very interesting and exciting to me. And this time of year is exciting because of all the leaves that are going to fall, and I will be mulching all those leaves and putting those into my garden too. Creating rich, healthy soil for our gardens is such an exciting topic, and I hope to make a whole video about it someday. But today I'm just going to talk about spreading this compost on my garden beds. My borders are mostly made up of ornamental trees and shrubs and perennials. And before I can put the mulch down, it's so much easier if I can do some prep work first. And one of the first things I want to do is cut back the hostas. Hostas are a perennial that love growing in shade, and they come in all different sizes. And one plant with larger leaves could reach 4 and 5 foot wide with the leaf canopy. So it would be very hard to put down mulch if those leaves weren't cut back. And I use a serrated edge knife to do that job, just a bread knife. And you can pick up a bread knife at garage sales all over the place for $1. And it's nice to have a couple of these in your garden tool chest because they're good for lots of jobs around the yard. So a serrated edge knife does a great job in cutting back the hostas and a lot of other perennials. Sometimes shrubs and bushy type trees like lilac and smokebush have lots of low branches that prevent me from getting my wheelbarrow loaded with wood chips close to the base of the tree. So this is a good time for me to get out my hand pruner and to go around and crawl under the shrubs and crawl under the trees and just cut away those low branches. And lots of times I find out that they're dead anyways. The hand pruner is the tool that I've drawn with the red handle. And I particularly like this one because it folds in half. And when you're not using it, it keeps the blade with the sharp teeth protected inside the handle. And a sharp hand pruner will make easy work out of cutting any width of branch. So I found that as I spread my mulch, it's also a good time to prune and clean up my beds. Today in his devotion, Paul Tripp asks the question, when you pray, what is it that you want from God? And he points out that sometimes our prayer life drifts from what it should be into a wish list of what we think is best for our lives, forgetting that God, our Creator, knows infinitely better what I need for my life than I do. And when I step back and think about it, my prayers sure can get tangled up in my selfish wants and needs and feelings. And that's what made me think about working in the garden. If I wanted to get that protective covering of mulch spread at the base of my plants and shrubs, I'd have to get in there with the sharp tools and cut away the barrier of the broad canopy of leaves of the hostas and the entangling branches of the shrubs and trees that prevented me from getting my wheelbarrow full of the mulch close to where it needed to be placed. And so I need to do the same with my prayer life. If I want to get close to God's will for my life, I have to cut away that entangling wish list of selfish wants and needs and desires and replace it with God's perfect plan for my life. Now, this doesn't mean we can't go to the Lord with our requests. Paul Tripp says, God encourages us to cast our cares on Him because He really does care for us. But the requests of true prayer are always in the context of surrender and celebration. It is surrender and celebration that keeps those requests from being selfish demands or bitter complaints. This kind of prayer is a tool of God's grace in your life. So thank you for joining me today at Mimi's Sketchbook. I hope this was an encouragement for you. And if it was, could you please subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up, and maybe even share this with someone else. And in that way, YouTube will help us to spread the good news. So thank you, and God bless.